Well, earlier this week, we learned a U.S. appeals court will hold oral arguments September 16th regarding a possible ban of the Chinese-owned social media platform TikTok in the U.S. if its assets in the U.S. are not divested by January 19th. That has prompted a lot of conversations around bidders for the American assets. One of the names interested in purchasing TikTok's U.S. business is the billionaire Frank McCourt, who is known as a successful real estate investor and the former owner of the Los Angeles Dodgers. But this bid is really more about Project Liberty, which is an organization he founded in 2021, and he has committed more than $500 million towards a goal of building a better internet. And I spoke with him about how his concerns around big tech have developed over the years. Here's more from that interview.
Well, yeah, I'm a fifth-generation builder from the Boston area. My great-grandfather started building cars when Henry Ford started building roads, and we've been building infrastructure ever since. And we have a big infrastructure problem right now. We have a broken internet. And also, as the father of 7 children, I am deeply concerned about what's going on out there. We have a technology that was invented, created by really people that had a great idea, brilliant minds to really connect us, right? To share knowledge, to make us all smarter, right? And to advance civilization and be that proverbial tide that lifted all boats. And that's how it started 40 years ago. And what we have now is nothing that resembles that. In the last 20 years, the internet has been colonized. There's essentially 5 big companies that now own it, and more importantly, they own us. They own and control our data. And in this day and age, our data is our personhood. Make no mistake. It's these platforms know everything about us, and they use it to make money. They use it to feed us information, and we're learning now they use it to harm kids as well. So this is a very, very big problem that I think we all need to address with great urgency.
And what's the starting point for addressing that? I think everybody, to a certain extent, feels uncomfortable with the level of control that big tech has, but how do you go about figuring out a path forward? Yeah,
it was interesting. After selling the Dodgers just over a decade ago, I had the privilege of starting a public policy school in Washington, D.C. with Georgetown University, thinking that perhaps we could get out ahead of this problem with better policies. And I learned only 2-3 years into it that the policymaking alone is not enough. Our policymaking apparatus, and I'm speaking about America now, but I would imagine it's quite similar here in Canada, moves at a deliberate pace. Technology moves very, very fast. And the policymaking and the regulations just can't keep up with it. So in December of 2019, I greenlit a project, we call it Project Liberty, to reimagine how the internet works so that each of us can reclaim our personhood, our data, from the machinery of big tech. And we've done a lot of work over the last 4.5, going on 5 years. And Project Liberty is, I'm proud to say, really getting a great deal of traction now. And it's comprised of 3 tracks. One is a tech track, another is a policy track, and the third is a movement-making track. So it's really about fixing the tech, and we can talk about that in a moment in terms of how that works, engaging civil society, and also inventing, creating policies for the future. The great Wayne Gretzky used to say, don't skate where the puck is, skate where the puck is going. Right now, a lot of our policymaking is focused on where we are, mitigating harms, limiting damage. Let's start skating to the future. Let's start creating policies that enable a better future and strengthen democracies, remove dis and misinformation, provide and nourish civic discourse, and most importantly, protect young children. And so I think we need policy making to do that, but I also know for sure we need technology that's being built for the future and not maintaining the technology we have right now. And when I say technology, John, I'm talking about internet technology.
And what do big tech companies look like in a future that you're envisioning? Because I think we've had for a very long time, conversations around breaking up big tech. How do the big tech players fit into the future that you're now envisioning?
Just like the telecom companies used to be big, and then there was a lot of telecom companies that started up, and we went from kind of a monopoly or a few oligarchs to choice in different providers, and the providers were interoperable, so our phone numbers work between providers. Imagine an internet that works that way. Our personal information is portable. We take it with us where we want to go. We set the terms and conditions of use. You know how you click on those mindlessly on those cookies now to give up all of our rights to these big platforms? Shouldn't be that way. The new internet should click on, the app should click on our terms and conditions of use. We should parse out our data and do it on our terms. And if there's an economic benefit, by the way, receive some of that benefit. And the new apps in this new world should be interoperable. So you have 1,000 Davids, 1,000,000 Davids, rather than 5 Goliaths.
What are the ramifications if the future does not play out the way you would hope? What do you think the risk is for society?
I think we're at an inflection point, quite honestly, and I think now is the moment. The good news is that if we were sitting here talking just 18 months ago, I don't think the conversation would have a feel of such urgency. People are awakening. I can feel it. I can see it. And so now is a time I think people are open to this discussion and looking for a better way forward. Project Liberty is not about just throwing more logs on the fire of all the problems and the doom and gloom. It's about coming forward with solutions. And this is very doable. Remember, this is just technology. It's just infrastructure. It's broken. Let's fix it, just like we would any other kind of infrastructure. Here's the issue, though. If we don't move quickly, generative AI is going to take what is already broken and make it far worse. In what world do you take something that's broken and make it more powerful? And that's what we're on the verge of doing. So we need to put forward better tech and better policy and do it quickly, and then make it more powerful, prioritizing human beings, not prioritizing these machines.
There is a big conversation around TikTok specifically, where some of these themes have been bubbling up, and everyone right now is curious to know what the future holds for TikTok. You have been in the headlines, stated your own interest in being part of the solution longer term with TikTok. Can you clarify what you would like to do on the TikTok front?
Well, the U.S. government has passed legislation having determined that TikTok is a national security threat, requiring ByteDance to either divest of the U.S. platform or the U.S. government's going to shut it down. I'd like to see TikTok continue. There's 170 million people using it. I'd like to see it continue, but not in the same form that it is now, i.e. scraping everyone's data and exploiting it. What we'd like to see is TikTok moving over to a new protocol, and this is a protocol that I was referring to earlier when I said we have done a lot of work on the tech. Move over to a new protocol where those 170 million people own and control their data. They can benefit from that, rather than that data being scraped and aggregated, in the case of TikTok in China, and used in ways that they don't even know it's being used. Again, let's own our data, let's permission its use, and limit its use to the contract that we agree on, right, with the new TikTok. The reason why TikTok is such an attractive opportunity, in my opinion, is we have proven the tech works. There are nearly 1 million people now using this new alternative internet that I'm describing. So we have the proof of concept, and we know it works. What's needed now is scale, because for there to be a reasonable, viable alternative to the broken internet we have, we need an internet where there's lots of users. It's 1 million people is not going to compete with 1 billion people or 100 million people. But if we can move 170 million people over to this alternative internet, the tech is ready for this, we have an alternative internet. And so that's what we'd like to do. And I just will add, I'm not bidding for TikTok. I'm bidding on behalf of Project Liberty. It's a people's bid. We call it a people's bid because we want society broadly to be involved in this exercise, not just to be replacing Chinese capital with some other sovereign's capital. We want to see this as being a moment where, working together, we create this alternative internet. And by the way, I would love to see the 170 million users of, and I prefer to call them people, not users, of TikTok be part of the ownership group.
Do you think Project Liberty can be successful in this effort?
I do. I'm very optimistic, and I'll tell you why. The Chinese government is not going to give up the algorithm. We don't want the algorithm. We don't need the algorithm. Second, we want to keep TikTok alive. I think the U.S. government will shut it down if China doesn't, or ByteDance doesn't sell it. So we have technology that will allow China to sell it without the algorithm and the 170 million users to continue on TikTok and satisfy the U.S. government, because the data of these 170 million people will not be being vacuumed up by the Chinese government. One last point. It's important to note that the same technology that is being used by ByteDance and TikTok to scrape users' data is the same technology that's being used by the other big platforms. They all scrape our data, they aggregate it, and they figure out ways to exploit it. Yes, some of it is selling ads, but there's a lot more to it than that. They know everything about us, John. They have hundreds of thousands of individual attributes about you and I, which means they now know who we are. They know not just where we shop or where we're physically present, they know how we think. They know how we behave, how we emote, right? They have made judgments about our personality, which means these platforms can manipulate us and trigger us. And this is why this is so harmful to society at large, all individuals, adults included, but especially children. Children are not prepared to deal with this. And as I said, I don't think any of us are prepared to deal with it, but we're talking about just completely stealing, taking away adolescence from young kids. I mean, they can't be kids anymore. These kids are being bullied, they're being shamed, they're being stalked, they're seeing stuff they should never see. They're not ready for all this. In the pre-internet world, we could protect children just to a large measure, right? Our home was our fortress, our castle, where we protected our kids. These platforms are in our home. This monster is in our home. These platforms know more about our kids than we know as parents. This needs to stop. This is really, really an urgent issue. And I hope people continue to awaken to this problem and join the fight. Join the fight. Join Project Liberty. Go to ourbiggestfight.com and be part of it. This has to be a big movement by all free societies. And this is what I'm hoping will happen. And thankfully, more and more people are waking up to this and are joining the fight.